Welcome to the Smackdown review from Value of Wrestling. Due to illness there will not be a live review, but as always we got you covered on the show. SummerSlam recap. SummerSlam delivered a blockbuster evening filled with electrifying matches, but as always, some moments were left out, particularly from the SmackDown side of things. Notably, Jacob Fatu's intense selling of his leg injury after a high-impact splash through the announce table was omitted from the highlight reel. This moment, which could have added layers to the storyline, was oddly overlooked, leaving fans to wonder about its significance. Additionally, Roman Reigns debuted a new theme music, but many feel it's a step down from his iconic head of the table theme, which had become synonymous with his dominant persona. Cody Rhodes in Tulsa, Oklahoma, a new chapter begins. The road from SummerSlam led us to Tulsa, Oklahoma, where Cody Rhodes made his entrance to a still thunderous crowd reaction, despite the recent return of Roman Reigns. With the microphone in hand, Cody began his address with his trademark line, "So, what do you want to talk about?" He quickly shifted the conversation from the past to the future, emphasizing that as grand as SummerSlam was, the WWE Universe is now focused on what's next. Cody, holding the title that has become the North Star of the industry, teased a potential defense in Berlin. However, before he could reveal who he had in mind, Solo Sikoa, accompanied by Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, interrupted, minus Jacob Fatu. Solo Sikoa's challenge, a delusional demand. Solo, with a mic in hand, made it clear that he wasn't interested in Cody's future plans or what the fans wanted to talk about. Instead, Solo was fixated on SummerSlam, asserting that he was on the verge of becoming champion and demanding a rematch. Cody, who originally aimed to leave the past behind, couldn't resist pointing out the flaws in Solo's logic. He reminded everyone that Solo was responsible for injuring Jacob Fatu, and it was Solo's reckless behavior that set Roman Reigns on a warpath. Cody also didn't shy away from mentioning that he pinned Solo in the ring, making Solo's demand for a rematch seem delusional. With a heavy dose of "I'm not him" energy, Solo led the Tongans to the ring, seemingly ready for a confrontation. The unexpected appearance of Kevin Owens, a twist in the tale. Just as tensions reached a boiling point, Kevin Owens emerged from behind, armed with chairs. He tossed one to Cody, forcing Solo and his crew to retreat. Solo, still holding the mic, vowed to deal with Cody after he found Roman. Unfazed, Cody coolly replied that he'd be waiting. As the situation de-escalated, Cody asked Owens to stick around, hinting at something important he wanted to discuss. In a surprising turn, Cody proposed that Owens be his next challenger. Despite the crowd's encouragement with chants of "You deserve it," Owens declined, insisting that title shots are earned, and he hasn't done enough to warrant one. Cody, however, reminded Owens of the sacrifices he made during the war against the Bloodline and emphasized that Owens is still a prizefighter. Cody promised to lobby Nick Aldis for the match, confident that the fans and management would see things his way. Owens, still shaking his head in reluctant disbelief, followed Cody out of the arena, leaving the crowd buzzing about what could come next. The night ahead, matches and momentum. The night promised more action with Andrade set to face Santos Escobar for a shot at LA Knight, and Jade Cargill squaring off against Alba Fire. Additionally, DIY would take on Pretty Deadly as the tag team division continued to take shape. Austin Theory struggles, a star yet to shine. Austin Theory made his way to the ring, but once again, the reaction was tepid at best. Despite his potential, Theory has struggled to connect with the audience on a deeper level. Accompanied by Grayson Waller, the duo prepared for tag team action after the commercial break. The Street Profits, a bold statement. Back from the break, the Street Profits appeared in the gorilla position with Byron Saxton. B-Fab, as usual, spoke but offered little substance, while Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins delivered a clear message. Ford boldly claimed that while the Bloodline might hold the titles, the real tribal chief was right there, and they were scared. Dawkins chimed in, reminding everyone that the Profits have been away from the title scene for 3 years, and now, they want the smoke. With the uncertainty surrounding Jacob Fatu's status, it might be the perfect time for the Profits to reclaim the gold. A clash of styles and strategies, Street Profits triumph in tag team opener. In an electric opener, A-Town Down Under, the promising duo of Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, squared off against the dynamic Street Profits, with Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins bringing their signature energy to the ring, flanked by the ever-vibrant B-Fab. The chemistry between these teams was palpable from the moment the bell rang, signaling the start of what would be a high-octane tag team contest. The match began with Angelo Dawkins locking up with Austin Theory. Dawkins, known for his raw power, managed to land a few early strikes, but Theory quickly maneuvered to isolate Dawkins from his partner. This tactical isolation allowed Theory to bring in Waller, who continued to wear down Dawkins, showcasing their teamwork's effectiveness. Their strategy was clear: keep Dawkins away from Montez Ford, the more explosive of the two Street Profits. However, Dawkins isn't one to stay down for long. Just as the momentum seemed fully in favor of Theory and Waller, Dawkins fought back, rallying with a series of power moves. But as he charged into the corner, Theory skillfully sidestepped, causing Dawkins to crash shoulder first into the ring post, a crucial turning point that left Dawkins vulnerable. Waller, ever the opportunist, tagged in and immediately took advantage. Sliding out of the ring with a surprising agility, he delivered a vicious clothesline to Dawkins, keeping the pressure on. But just when A-Town Down Under seemed poised to seal the deal, B-Fab played her part, drawing the attention of Theory and Waller. This distraction allowed Ford to make a spectacular dive over the ropes, crashing onto both opponents and shifting the momentum just as the match headed into a commercial break. Returning from the break, the scene was still chaotic, with the cameraman's lingering shot adding an odd tension to the atmosphere. Dawkins, though battered, managed to evade a double-team maneuver, suplexing Theory with all his remaining strength and finally tagging in a fresh Ford. Ford exploded into the ring like a man possessed, targeting Waller first with a series of high-impact moves, including a flawless standing moonsault that earned him a near fall. As Ford ascended the turnbuckle, it looked like he was setting up for a match-ending maneuver, but Waller managed to avoid it at the last second, tagging Theory back in for some double-team action. They combined their efforts to deliver a series of stiff elbow strikes to Ford, but it wasn't enough to put him away. In the final moments, the action spilled outside the ring again. Waller found himself on the receiving end of a super kick from Ford, and before he could recover, Dawkins, with a burst of energy, sent Waller flying over the barricade with a powerful pounce. This cleared the path for Ford and Dawkins to execute their devastating doomsday blockbuster on Theory, securing the victory at the 7:13 mark. Street Profits defeated A-Town Down Under, 7:13. Backstage maneuvers and mind games, Cody and Owens set their sights on Berlin. Backstage, the intrigue continued as Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes engaged in a tense discussion with WWE official Nick Aldis. Owens, ever the man of principle, expressed his disdain for the idea of Roman Reigns getting another title shot, questioning the legitimacy of a rematch clause that hasn't been invoked in years. Owens' frustration was evident as he argued that there were many others in the locker room more deserving of a title opportunity than Roman. Aldis, seemingly swayed by Owens' passion, made a surprising decision: Owens would face Cody Rhodes for the title at the upcoming Bash in Berlin. Owens, though he got what he wanted, couldn't hide his melancholy as he walked away, leaving Cody to smugly tell Aldis, "I told you it'd work." Clearly, Cody had orchestrated this entire scenario, manipulating the situation to his advantage, a classic move from the American Nightmare. Nia Jax hype and backstage drama. As the show rolled on, the spotlight shifted to the returning Nia Jax, who was once again being positioned as a dominant force in the women's division. Video packages highlighted her recent title-winning effort, setting the stage for a major celebration next week. Meanwhile, backstage chaos ensued as Tiffany Stratton, the ever-demanding starlet, berated a production assistant over preparations for Jax's upcoming title celebration. Pretty Deadly, always looking for a moment in the spotlight, tried to recruit Tiffany for their own musical number, but she dismissed them with little more than a glance. However, her path soon crossed with Chelsea Green and Piper Niven, leading to a tense exchange. Piper reminded Tiffany that Jax doesn't like the color pink, hinting at the potential friction between the two. Green, always ready to stir the pot, suggested Tiffany might cash in on Jax next week, a notion that Tiffany quickly mocked before walking off, leaving behind a trail of speculation. A women's division showdown, Jade Cargill dominates. The action resumed with Jade Cargill, accompanied by Bianca Belair, set to take on Alba Fire, who had Isla Dawn in her corner. From the outset, it was clear that Jade was not in the mood for games. Despite Fire's early attempts to outmaneuver Jade with quick strikes and a tornado DDT, Jade's power was too much to overcome. After escaping an octopus stretch, Jade unleashed a gut-wrench suplex that rocked Fire. A super kick followed, setting up Jade's finishing move, the Jaded, which secured her a decisive victory in just over 2 minutes. Jade Cargill defeats Alba Fire, 2-0-3. Blair Davenport made a surprise appearance, leading to an all-out brawl. The chaos reached a fever pitch, but Naomi, the ever-resilient Glow Queen, stormed the ring to even the odds. With her presence, the balance shifted, and eventually, the Big Three stood tall, a testament to their unity and determination. As the dust settled, anticipation grew for what was coming next. The commercial break offered a brief respite, but everyone knew that something big was on the horizon. That something was none other than LA Knight, a man who has clawed his way through the ranks of WWE, finally earning his first legitimate title during his entire run with the company. As the break ended, fans were treated to a recap of Knight's monumental victory over Logan Paul at SummerSlam, a match that was as thrilling as it was unexpected. Crowd erupted as LA Knight made his entrance, his energy contagious. The cheers were deafening, and it was clear that the WWE Universe was firmly behind their new champion. Grabbing a mic, Knight wasted no time in addressing the crowd. With a smirk that spoke volumes, he reveled in his victory, particularly the sweet satisfaction of defeating Logan Paul in his own hometown. The crowd responded with a chant of, "You deserve it," a sentiment that Knight quickly deflected, insisting that it was Logan who deserved the beatdown. The only thing that mattered to Knight now was that everyone recognized him as a champion, a title he had earned through sheer grit and determination. But being the champion comes with a price. Knight acknowledged that the belt made him a marked man, but it was a challenge he welcomed. He had been a target since the day he arrived, and nothing had changed. The game remained the same: walk in, hit it, and quit it. Knight's confidence was palpable as he declared that no one could stop him, not even the so-called Kavorka he couldn't shake. He was the United States champion, and he intended to keep it that way. However, not everyone was as thrilled about Knight's reign as he was. Santos Escobar, flanked by his entourage, interrupted Knight's victory lap. Escobar, ever the opportunist, offered his congratulations, but there was a sting in his words. He downplayed Knight's achievement, suggesting that it was merely a fleeting moment and that the real reign would begin with him as champion. The crowd wasn't having it, drowning out Escobar's words with chants of, "You suck." But Knight wasn't fazed. He heard one word loud and clear: deserve. And in his mind, the only thing Escobar deserved was a beating. Escobar wasn't backing down, though. He was determined to earn a shot at the US title, but Knight made it clear that it wouldn't matter who challenged him, no one was taking the title from him. Not because they weren't good enough, but because he simply wouldn't let them. As tension simmered, Andrade made his way to the ring, signaling that the night was far from over. A match between Andrade and Escobar was on deck, and it promised to be a clash of titans. Before the action continued, a promo aired for Giovan Vinci, who seemed to be embracing the role of the stereotypical wealthy European. It was a brief moment of levity before the intensity ramped up once again. Match between Andrade and Santos Escobar, with Elektra Lopez, Angel, and Berto in Escobar's corner, was already underway when the broadcast returned. Andrade had the upper hand, landing a clothesline after a fast-paced exchange. Escobar rolled out of the ring, but Andrade wasn't about to let him escape, following up with a plancha that sent the crowd into a frenzy. Back in the ring, Escobar took advantage of a distraction from Angel to land a knee strike for a near fall. But the chaos was far from over. Baron Corbin and Apollo Crews stormed down the ramp, attacking Berto and Angel, leading to a brawl that spilled into the crowd. With the distractions temporarily out of the way, Andrade seized the moment, hitting a Geimangiri before heading to the top rope. But Escobar was quick to counter, shoving Andrade off the ropes and into the ring post. Escobar followed up with a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker, but Andrade wasn't going down without a fight. The two traded blows, with Andrade eventually gaining the upper hand with a sunset powerbomb that left both men sprawled on the mat as the show went to another break. When the action resumed, Escobar had Andrade locked in a camel clutch, but the resilient Andrade fought his way free, firing up with a series of strikes. A dragon screw from Andrade set the stage for a double crossbody collision, leaving both men gasping for air. Andrade kipped up, ready to deliver his signature double knees in the corner, but Escobar wisely rolled out of the ring. Undeterred, Andrade climbed the ropes and launched himself with a second rope moonsault, connecting with Escobar on the outside. Back in the ring, Andrade hit a crossbody for a near fall, followed by the three amigos for another close call. He climbed the ropes once more, looking to seal the deal with a moonsault, but Escobar rolled to the apron. The two battled for position, with Escobar eventually hitting a poisoned Rana from the second rope for a near fall that had the crowd on the edge of their seats. The momentum swung back and forth as both men dug deep, Andrade missing a moonsault but landing on his feet and following up with a standing version for another near fall. He was looking to deliver the message, but Carmelo Hayes, ever the opportunist, provided a distraction that allowed Escobar to hit the double knees. Andrade managed to avoid the Phantom Driver and responded with a spinning back elbow that nearly ended the match. However, Elektra Lopez added to the chaos, distracting the referee long enough for Hayes to pull Escobar out of harm's way. Escobar then capitalized, rolling up Andrade with a handful of tights for the 3 count, stealing the victory in 11 minutes and 50 seconds. As Escobar celebrated his tainted win, it was clear that the rivalry between these competitors was far from over. The WWE Universe had witnessed an explosive night of action, with storylines deepening and tensions rising. The road to the next big event was paved with bad blood, and it was only a matter of time before these rivalries boiled over once again. Bloodline's dominance continues, but DIY seeks redemption. The latest installment of WWE Action kicked off with a recap of the Bloodline's recent triumph, a victory that further solidified their stranglehold on the tag team division. With their relentless aggression and calculated teamwork, the Bloodline secured the titles, leaving their opponents in disarray and asserting their dominance once more. Backstage, DIY's Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa were seen walking with a purpose, discussing the harsh reality they faced. They were deep in the heart of Bloodline territory, where any misstep could be costly. Gargano, still stinging from the loss of the titles in front of his son and hometown fans, was determined not to let this setback define them. "I won't forget what happened," Gargano stated with a mix of resolve and regret. Ciampa, always the no-nonsense type, shut down any distractions, including some light-hearted musical banter. "This is day one of our redemption tour," Ciampa declared, eyes focused and fiery, signaling that DIY was far from finished. The duo then made their way to the ring, ready to battle back from the brink. As the show went to break, a somber tribute aired, honoring the late Kevin Sullivan, who passed away earlier that day. The video served as a touching reminder of the impact Sullivan had on the wrestling world, paying homage to his legacy. A celebration, a rivalry, and a challenge. Looking ahead, next week promises more excitement with Nia Jax set to celebrate her recent accomplishments. Meanwhile, a brewing rivalry between Naomi and Blair Davenport will reach another chapter as they face off once again. Back in the present, Austin Theory and Grayson Waller were seen approaching WWE official Nick Aldis, their demeanor filled with frustration. Theory, in his typical smug fashion, casually suggested a match between Waller and Kevin Owens. Aldis, perhaps enjoying the prospect of giving Waller a taste of his own medicine, liked the idea and made the match official. Turnabout, as they say, is fair play, and Waller will soon find himself standing across the ring from the formidable Owens. DIY vs Pretty Deadly, the redemption begins. In the ring, it was time for DIY, Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, to face Pretty Deadly, Kit Wilson and Elton Prince, in what promised to be a high-octane tag team match. The bell rang, and Johnny Gargano squared off against Kit Wilson to start things off. The pace quickly escalated as Elton Prince tagged in, and soon all four men were brawling, with DIY showing their trademark chemistry by sending both Wilson and Prince out of the ring. DIY prepared for a double dive, but Pretty Deadly had a counter up their sleeves, delivering double uppercuts that momentarily halted DIY's momentum. However, Wilson and Prince's overconfidence on the apron was their downfall, as Ciampa and Gargano responded with synchronized dropkicks followed by a double plancha, sending the crowd into a frenzy as the show headed to another break. As the action resumed, Johnny Gargano expertly avoided a corner attack from Prince and landed a crisp enziguri before tagging in Ciampa. Ciampa entered the match like a man possessed, tearing through both Prince and Wilson. He hit a reverse DDT on Wilson and followed it up with a ripcord elbow on Prince, displaying his explosive offense. Johnny tagged back in, and the duo executed an assisted back suplex, nearly securing the win with a 2 count. The match continued to swing back and forth, with near falls and hard-hitting moves from both sides. A highlight came when Johnny's attempt at his slingshot spear was thwarted by a well-timed knee strike from Prince. Chaos ensued as Ciampa re-entered the fray, and after a series of rapid exchanges, DIY finally put Prince away with their signature shatter machine followed by the meet me in the middle for the victory, ending the match at 7-10. Bloodlines showdown, the tribal tensions rise. As the dust settled from DIY's win, the focus shifted to Solo Sikoa, who was spotted backstage with Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. With Roman Reigns conspicuously absent, Solo assured that he would indeed make an appearance. The commentary team touched on a recent injury to Jacob Fatu, a key member of the Bloodline, and speculated on the group's future without one of its brightest stars. Back in the ring, Solo Sikoa, now flanked by Tonga and Loa, demanded the audience in Tulsa acknowledge him, though his words seemed to lack the usual confidence. The crowd, however, had their minds elsewhere, erupting in a "We want Roman" chant. Solo, feeding off the tension, declared himself the tribal chief in Reigns' absence and brazenly challenged Roman to come reclaim the title if he dared. Right on cue, Roman Reigns' music, remixed with more of his "Head of the Table" theme, hit the speakers, and the atmosphere electrified. Roman wasted no time in asserting his dominance, laying out Tama Tonga on the floor and brutally assaulting Tonga Loa with the ring steps. The crowd rallied behind Reigns as he stepped into the ring, ready for a showdown with Solo. The two exchanged blows, but Roman quickly gained the upper hand with a Superman punch. Just as he prepared for a spear, Tonga Loa, recovering his wits, pulled Solo out of the ring, leaving the prized Ula Fala in the ring. Roman picked up the ceremonial necklace, symbolizing his claim to leadership, but before he could revel in it, Tama and Loa ambushed him. Solo reclaimed the Ula Fala, retreating as Roman dismantled his attackers with a series of Superman punches and a devastating spear to Tama through the barricade. The crowd erupted into chants of "Only Chief" as Roman stood tall, his righteous fury on full display. He grabbed a chair and unleashed further punishment on Loa, while Solo watched from the entrance stage, holding the Ula Fala. Roman's message was clear: if Solo wanted to be tribal chief, he would have to take the mantle by force. The episode ended with Roman standing triumphant in the ring, the crowd firmly behind him, as Solo made his retreat, the tension between them simmering to a boiling point.
Don't forget our regular schedule on YouTube with the Raw review on Mondays where Big Time and Paulus Clark break down the episode, on Tuesdays on our Patreon, and Wednesday on YouTube the NJPW Rebound podcast with your host Miguel Z. On Fridays we have the Smackdown post-show review, and our flagship show on Sundays, the weekly Roundup podcast that can be found at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. But if you thought that was the last of it, the Value of Wrestling brings you even more content on our free Patreon with articles and podcasts not uploaded to YouTube. If you want to catch up with NWA Power, NXT, Ring of Honor, and TNA Impact, well then you will have to sign up on our free tier Patreon. In addition, you never know what new and fresh content will be posted, so sign up today. Thank you for spending your time with us, because without you, there is no value. Just remember, life is hard enough. Don't let anyone tell you about your fandom that when appropriate, you can't go 100% mark.